Шановні колеги, ми починаємо нашу 5-ту міжнародну конференцію, і усе буде йти за програмою, яка у вас є, яку ви бачили, яка є на сайті, тільки за програмою. Винятків не може бути, і ми працюємо дуже організовано. Таким чином, усе буде відбуватися за програмою. Робоча мова в нас англійська. Ми просимо вас вимкнути камери, але вимкнути мікрофони, бо зараз буде відбуватися ще й трансляція на Фейсбуці, і нам будуть заважати ваші мікрофони. Вважаючи на те, що ми проводимо у Zoom, там є обмеження у 40 хвилин, тому не лякайтеся, перепідключайтеся через там певний час, якщо це ми не встигнемо за оцю 40-хвилинну період. Запис буде вестися. І зараз let's begin our conference in English. Так, вимикайте, будь ласка, вимикайте мікрофони і вмикайте камери. Ті, хто приєднався зараз до нас, так, дуже дякую, дуже дякую. І зараз я спробую розпочати нашу конференцію. Євген Володимирович, вмикайте запис. Вмикайте запис. Усім я бачу так. Це перше наше привітання на цій конференції і перша 40-хвилинна оця доля, вона буде присвячена нашим гостям та нам, які щиро вітають з нашою конференцією. Dear colleagues, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 5th International Conference on Computational Linguistics and Intelligent Systems. This year, our conference is conducted on the basis of National Technical University, Kharkiv Polytechnic Institute, but under conditions of the pandemic, it is not of great importance since we have prepared and hold this conference together with Lviv Polytechnic National University. Let me introduce myself. I am a full professor, Doctor of Science, Technical Science, the head of Intelligent Computer Systems Department. From its foundation in 2007, our department provides training in applied linguistics, and I am very happy to welcome you. Some words about the short history of our conference. The first Ukrainian scientific and practical conference was held in 2012 on the basis of Intelligent Computer Systems Department at National Technical University, Kharkiv Polytechnic Institute. Then the first international conference was held in 2017, based on the collaboration of our university and Lviv Polytechnic National University. Over 70 researchers participated. Next year, the number of participants and keynote speakers was increased. In 2018, we started indexing the conference proceedings in Scopus. In 2019, the conference was divided into 2 streams and over 70 participants presented their papers. The workshop was for students was held too. As a result, 32 papers were published in their workshop proceedings. In 2020, in Lviv, online, the conference was held online due to difficult conditions of the pandemic, but it didn't affect the fruitful work of our conference. The number of participants was over 350. There were 6 streams and 85 papers were published in their workshop proceedings and indexed in Scopus. And nowadays, Colins 2021 in Kharkiv online. This year we carry out the conference online using Zoom and YouTube platforms and translation in Facebook. Over 480 participants from 85 universities, 14 countries take part in this conference, and we are very excited for this work. And 137 papers have been accepted according to the decision of International Program Committee. On this slide, you can see some statistics of our day conference. So we are grateful to all of the participants. Wish you interesting discussion, fruitful work. So welcome to Colins 2021. Thank you for your attention, and now allow me to give the word our Professor Godlevskiy Mykhailo, and where is our Mikhail Dmitrievich? Please take word. Oh, yes, I see.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, I congratulate you on the opening of the 5th International Conference on Computer Linguistics and Intelligence Systems. At the present time, the world community is moving to a new stage of the development industry 4.0. The robots that work within a given program are being replaced by the intellectual robots. Even now, they are present in different branches of economics of the world developed countries, in transport, medicine, education, military sphere, and so on. The countries that are the most advanced ones in the area of actuality system will dominate in the world. All of this suggests an actuality of research direction presented at the conference: knowledge-oriented system, applied intelligent system, math tools for AI, and other. To see the future, it is necessary to make an analysis of trends in the area of knowledge-oriented and intelligent systems. Now, Dr. Candidate of the Department of Software Engineering and the Management Information Technology, Associate Professor Sergei Orekhov will present a brief analysis. Please, Sergey.
Hello, dear colleagues. Did you see my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, dear colleagues, good day. Our conference has already become one of the leading platforms for discussing global trends in the field of computer science. However, we believe that modern trends in the development of the IT market pose new challenges for us. Our report will be devoted to a brief analysis of IT development trends in the world based on the experience of implementing IT projects over the past 15 years. All these projects was provided on our department. To begin with, let me turn to history to identify current trends and driving forces of development. Let's start our short historical excursus from 1991-1993, slide 3. Why are these days remarkable? The fact is that during these years, IBM, this is company, launches an international project called Customer Relationship Management. The aim of the project was to analyze what are the prospects for the development of society, business relations, the place of IT in the new realities. What interesting conclusions were received at that time? 3 main conclusions were formulated. First, the post-industrial society is replacing the information society. The new society is based on the so-called concept of knowledge transfer between the buyer of a product and its supplier, not by the manufacturer, but by the supplier. By knowledge, we mean a certain algorithm to satisfying a given need. In this regard, the very classical pyramid of needs is replaced by the pyramid of knowledge, which is formed within the supplier in order to generate a product or service. And IT is like an inverted pyramid serving the very process of transferring such knowledge algorithm. This process requires hiring a new type of employees, knowledge manager. Earlier, we talked about the product manager. New realities began to be embodied in the future in 1998, slide 4. The launch of the internet and the formation of the concept of internet skeleton of modern business, presented by Bill Gates, who leads to the emergence of search servers. These are, so to speak, pillar stones in the virtual worlds. But to work inside and outside the office, the remote work protocol was required, which was implemented in Windows Server 2003 version. This allowed the employee to be always in the office. The next step was taken by Apple when Steve Jobs proposed the concept of laptop in your pocket. The new word gadget is a device for continuous internet connection. All this made it possible to move to a new wave of development of internet, semantic search, and intelligent engine. Actually, we are on the last wave now. What does this actually mean? The main point is the format worker with knowledge class. The appearance of this class was predicted in the works of Peter Drucker. The knowledge worker is first of all a collective player. Secondly, he carried carries all his means of production with him. It is difficult to understand its contribution, for example, to the return on investment indicator. Hence, the presence of a computer paradox when it is not possible to calculate the cost of an IT business using standard economical methods of calculation. The way out is a new principle, operation with knowledge when working in a team at any point in real and virtual space and a given moment in time. This principle leads to the evolution of information systems from the level of data processing to the level of knowledge management. That is, information systems are turning into expert ones. And in Western literature, this means the introduction of machine learning. This is the first trend. The second stable trend is the creation of a single platform for the operation of all necessary applications. Example of such platform already exists. Thus, you can see two directions of IT development at the moment. This is, so to speak, a branch conditionally internet and conditionally gadget. Moreover, we have already passed there, and there a descent way is the 4 steps, 4 waves. Moreover, the third and fourth waves develop in parallel. Perspective is the so-called virtual library and ant colony. What it is? For many of us, the internet is becoming a carrier of that unique knowledge that previously we could only get in the library or ask an expert. For example, a doctor in the library. On YouTube, for example, you can watch a video and learn how to inject injections, repair a car or bicycle, and amount of this knowledge is growing every second. But it is not enough for us to have the phone ring. It is now a smartphone, smart perfect. Therefore, the phone has, for example, a city map that takes you from home to work, but this is not enough already. It would be nice if phones and other devices self-organize. That is, every morning the weather forecast was on the screen, and this is a combination of joint work of bots and of gadgets. That is, we see 5 of the most stable IT development trends in the world. However, the structure of the IT market remained at the level of the first and the second waves of development of society and its needs. We need new platforms that can be configured universally. We need programming languages for gadgets. You say that modern programming languages cover these possibilities. Not. The main problem is time. Modern programming and method cannot ensure rapid changes, cannot guarantee quality. For example, in the case of extreme programming. The way out is in the design of platforms, in the visualization of programming, in the design of gadgets. You can have ready-made blocks and we can create a new one from them. Each block has already been tested. We need, for example, such kind of principle or concept, 3D printer for bots and gadgets, any shapes. What about our education? It also needs to be changed in the connection with new realities. The main ideas is to form conditionally 3 groups of professionals. We are already for a new wave of IT development. These are platform architects, board engineers, and gadget designers. Each new qualification has one thing in common, and this is pattern programming. So, thank you for your attention, dear colleagues.
Thank you very much. And now we are pleased to invite Dr. Andreas Bollin from Institute for Computer Science and Didactics. So.
Okay, thanks a lot. Before I start, probably I can share my window with you. Yes, so it works. Perfect. Okay, so then let us start. Also from my part, hello and good morning from Klagenfurt in Austria. So dear honored members and chairs of the conference, dear authors, dear attendees and colleagues, Klagenfurt is a partner university and I'm the coordinator of a double degree program. And I'm also full professor in software engineering and computing science didactics. And I'm really honored to be really happy to be at that conference because I think that the conference is really important. But why is it important? I'm also really glad that the previous speaker mentioned society, but I want to add another trend, a sixth trend to his list of trends, because we are now living in a time where computational thinking is on everyone's lips. So you heard it probably from the school system, you heard it from curricula, and there are really a number of courses and curricula out there. They are exploding, the number is exploding. But what is at the heart of it? So what is behind? We as scientists might answer, well, it's computing science that's behind. But how to explain what computing science is? And how to explain it to the people on the street? Well, a computer is normally used for machine processing of information, right? So that is stored for the purpose in a sustainable form, in a suitable form. And for processing, the computer follows detailed instructions that are written in some language. And the language and these instructions, they're called program. And the program is then interpreted automatically. So basically, the computer is thus nothing else than a language interpretation machine. And this is a very important issue because, to my opinion, your conference is now about the future. So what you're doing, this conference is doing, it is about the future. And with your efforts, with your results, you help answering the question, what we can contribute to prepare to society for the challenges ahead. At my department, we are also working on natural language processing. We are using it, we are further developing it. We are also using it in teacher training and so on. And I just have a couple of minutes. So a recent publication, for example, that is a paper submitted to a conference that's called Informatics in Schools. And there we are automatically carving out dependencies between learning objects and learning outcomes in computer science curricula. And the result of that work, basically it was a work together with the students from your university, is now at the bottom, at the center of a 1.5 million euro project in Austria, where we are trying to reform computing science education. So this is really great, but this is not it. So at my department, we are also developing artificial intelligence materials for children at the secondary level and also for future teacher training. At my department, we are driving a so-called informatics lab, and it's open since 2015. And it's an a hand-on lab for everyone. So it's for pupils starting age 5 years, and it's going up to people 99 years, well, officially. Honestly, the oldest person that I had at our informatics lab was an 80-year-old lady, and I was talking with her about the Turing machine, and that was amazing and exciting. Since then, we had more than 30,000 visitors at my department, and we tried to motivate for computing science. But of course, we are also using it for teacher education, for student education. And we have a quite huge material exchange with hundreds of materials and ideas. Why I am talking about that? Well, so this is a scientific conference, and I took a look at the program, and there are really excellent contributions. But when you're going back to these trends, and when you're thinking of this sixth trend, where now computing science is going more and more into the masses, we also have to ask ourselves, how can we bring NLP and IS to the masses? So how to bring natural language processing and intelligent systems to the masses, not just as a consumer. I think it's necessary that people are aware of it, because without it, so without that knowledge, mastering computing science will not be possible in the future. And there I have some ideas. So the first thing is, and I know this is not an educational conference, but nevertheless, I think you should think about improving your libraries so that the libraries can also be used by pupils. Something like artificial intelligence extensions, NLP extensions for the Scratch programming environment. You should also think how you can break down your findings, your scientific findings, so how you can break down the complexity so that it can be explained to secondary level pupils. Honestly, 20 years ago, nobody would have thought about a 6-year-old pupil programming in Scratch, right? And I can imagine that in 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 6-year-old pupils are using libraries from artificial intelligence and natural language processing. And for that, it needs some kind of playful approach. And I think that can be done. There's another issue, another thing that you can do. You could develop examples for an international contest. I'm not sure whether you already heard about the so-called Bebra's tasks. So there is this small picture of this beaver here on the slide. It's a playful computer science contest aiming at children from 8 to 19 years. And I looked at it, and there are no artificial intelligence and NLP examples in that contest. And I think you should contribute to that. And well, finally, I think you should define competencies, and you should invest. I agree with you that that has a political dimension, but you should invest in teacher education. So again, really congratulations to all the authors, to the researchers, to the organizers, and also to the visionaries. You have an amazing conference and an amazing program. And well, if you want to get in contact with me, if you want to cooperate with our university, just send me an email. And there is also a conference I want to point at. It's the Computer Science Education Conference that is then held in January next year in Hawaii. It's collocated with the Higgs International Conference. Well, anyway, I would say thanks again for the invitation to help you opening that conference. Congratulations. It will be a really exciting event. And thank you from myself. And I think I can hand over the word now to a colleague of mine, Professor Günther Fliedl.
Thank you very much. The report was very interesting. Dear guests, let us restart our Zoom session using the same link. And then we begin with another report.
Hello?
No, no, Женя, тут еще есть 5 минут, можно начать, а потом перезагрузиться, если прервется.
All right.
Можно начать второй доклад. Let's
Okay.
begin the second greeting.
Okay.
From Austria, yeah. Thank you very much, but if we know time, we online in this in this line, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay, thank you.
can I start?
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yes, yes,
So I
you
will
can
keep me
start.
shortly. So hello to all conference participants. I'm very proud that you have invited me to give some opening remarks. For years, I have been involved in artificial intelligence research focused on computational linguistics. I'm excited about the advances in this field, as we heard. I found naturally language processing so important because without analyzing linguistic textual processes and identifying regularities, modeling artificial intelligence topics in general would probably not be so successful or even possible in many domains and application fields. I am very pleased to see that the inclusion of natural language modeling questions also takes an important role in this conference. After looking through the list of contributions, I want to emphasize that I'm very impressed about the diversity and the granularity of all topics covered in this conference. That proves to me that explicit or implicit linguistic thinking as an essential part of text-related machine learning has now arrived at the center of computer science. All papers submitted for this conference seem to be highly important for solving real-world problems. Due to time constraints, I only want to pick out those titles which are personally relevant for me. For example, the ambiguity problem in natural languages, aspects of temporal knowledge-based modeling, solving mental health problems by adopting AI-optimized chatbots, using NLP for optimizing supply chain management in industrial areas, word-to-vec techniques for improving similarity calculation in textual contexts, better and more intelligent coronavirus monitoring, hate speech identification in social media contexts, and much more. Generally spoken, the topics of interest in this conference show how big the progress in computational linguistics has been in recent years. But there still remains to be a lot to do. Let me briefly address two issues many research groups all over the world are engaged in. First, the question of automatically uncovering targeted disinformation. And secondly, all problems around summarization, including extraction and abstraction types. Of course, we all can train our engines to certainly find disinformation patterns in texts. But do the machines always have the right viewpoint? Are the misleading statements on a certain day still wrong on the day after? Simple answer, very often no. We as human subjects presumably know how to adapt new information. Our knowledge dynamically changes every day. But how can our machines follow us? Simple answer, not very easily. Yes, of course, we have reinforcement learning strategies, but are these techniques elaborated enough for handling permanent knowledge change? I suppose no. Related to my second issue, I also see similar problems. The way how we reduce or summarize texts depends on our interests, viewpoints, and our intentions. To conclude, for solving these problems, we have to integrate dynamicity of daily life and changing information input depending on subjective viewpoints in our algorithms. This will be the challenge for the next years. Let's consider one of the most successful projects